Okay.
So, Kevin Kent, the film Downsizing is about to come out. It's been in development for a very long time, about 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
So, did it, when you finally started seeing footage from it and started cutting it together, what was that like? I mean, did it live up to your expectations? Did it, was it different from how you imagined it was going to be? What was that like?
It's been really thrilling, and I've been a supporter of it since the very first time I read the first 60 pages that Jim and Alexander had written. And I think it might even be 12 years ago. I remember I was in San Francisco and I had just finished it, and I called them and I was so excited and they hadn't finished it yet. They were, they were nervous that they were writing something ridiculous and, weren't sure if it was going to play. And I was like, it's great. You got to keep on doing it. And I've been, behind Alexander all the way until today, until now, just supporting him and hoping it would come together. And so, yeah, it actually has lived up to my expectations. And, it's really exciting to see it finally get to the big screen because it's been a long haul, especially for him.
What's so interesting about it is that it's so unlike, in many ways, so unlike anything he's ever done. I mean, it has
Yeah,
this more kind of high concept
right.
story behind it, but it also has that very humanist quality that we
Yeah.
recognize from his work. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, this is my feeling on it. It is unlike anything he's done before, and I think that's so great because he's really pushed himself. He's really, you know, taken a bigger bite out of the apple and really tried to do something big. And it covers all these themes and everything like that. But to me, when you get to the very end of the movie and the last few shots, it really hits home to me that it really is an Alexander Payne movie, a lot like all his others. That's about being human and what it means to be human and what life is like. And so even though it's all over the place and crazy things are happening, there's visual effects, it really, to me, is still an Alexander Payne film.
The film does have a lot of very impressive visual effects. Can you talk a little bit about working with those?
Yeah, that was great. We had a great team of visual effects people. Jamie Price was our guru. Do I have to sign for that? Okay, good. Sorry, the finance
It's
man is here.
okay.
Thank you. Um, uh, they were fantastic. But the way we approached our editing was how we've always done our editing in all of Alexander's other movies. We were really motivated by performance. Those were why we made the choices we made almost all constantly. And then we would comp shots together, and for rough, when we had big people and small people in the same shots, we would comp them in, but it was all performance based is how we made our decisions.
And like all of his movies, it toes a very delicate line between
Yeah.
comedy and pathos. Can you talk a little bit about how you balance that in the editing?
People always ask that, and I don't know how we actually do it, but we just keep working on things where we think, oh, this scene seems good, and it's really so much of that is in the writing, really too. I'd like to take credit for it, or we'd like to take credit for it in post, but really, it's he and Jim too are always balancing that line. Um, but in editing, we really are conscientious of pace and rhythm, and when we feel a scene needs to wrap up, we figure out a way to do that. And um, that's I don't know, it's hard to describe how we do that, but we just keep working on things until they feel right to us.
And I mean, as you said, I mean, it's mostly in the writing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
was there a moment as you were editing this film where maybe something didn't quite translate from the page to the screen? Or was there a tough scene you had to edit?
There were a lot of things that were tough to edit, and there was a lot of scenes on the cutting room floor. We really truncated this story. It was actually even more epic with all sorts of other stuff going on, and we kind of honed it in on through the process of editing. One scene that was particularly difficult was a scene, and we cut it a million times, and this is going to be a shout out for Rolf Kent, our composer, because we couldn't quite get the pace and the rhythm right in the phone call scene where Kristen Wiig calls um, Matt Damon from the airport. I don't want to blow the scene for people, but it's a pivotal scene in the movie, and we had a lot of difficulty getting the rhythm right of that and getting it to feel funny. And Rolf Kent really came in and he gave us a temp track, his demo of it, and we used that. And we still did a lot of cutting with it, but we had his music, and that helped so much in that scene. So, but that was a tricky one. That was a tricky one.
Well, that sort of speaks to I guess, the collaborative nature of filmmaking, and the fact that, you know, Rolf Kent has been a frequent collaborator of Alexander Payne's, as you have as well. I mean, how does that team work together?
We work pretty well together. When Alexander's ready to start focusing on music, though, he likes to go to Rolf and spend a lot of time with him before anything comes back to the cutting room, because I think he doesn't want to have my opinion thrown in it right away. So, which is great. I think that's fine and perfectly valid. So when Alexander feels confident enough in the direction of a few cues and stuff like that, he'll go, okay, I want you to listen to these. Let's bring him in, put him in the Av, and start living with him. And then we live with him, we screen with him, and, you know, and then he'll go back to Rolf and say, I think we should do this, or maybe that cue isn't working how I thought it would, you know, or we're dropping that scene, so thank you very much. But, you know, that kind of thing. So, but we're all, you know, Alexander's our fearless leader, and everyone gets along well. We're all like a family, and, you know, we all work together and try to get him what he's looking for to do.
You mentioned there were a lot of scenes on the cutting room floor. I wanted to ask, I mean, about the structure of this movie, because it's interesting the way it kind of starts out as one thing and then develops into something else. Can you talk about finding that structure?
That is one of the things that's kind of unique about the movie. I think that's one of the things that makes it so original. I don't think people go in watching it have any idea, if they don't know anything about it, what direction it's going to go or how it's going to wind up ending, which I think is a great thing. That's so hard to pull off these days. But you know, there was a lot of the structure, without going into a whole big long thing about what's not there, but there was a storyteller element that was originally shot, or we actually didn't shoot it. Parts of it were shot, but it was voiceover. There was tons of voiceover through the movie. And it was some cave people in the future telling the story from 8,000 years in the future. Yeah, crazy idea. It made it even wilder and stranger. And it was really great stuff, and it was a shame to lose it. But, you know, there were a number of reasons for doing it, but probably the main reason is we wanted to get to Matt Damon's character quicker in the movie, and there was another 4 or 5 minutes of setup, and you know, the audience really wants to relate, wants to know who they're supposed to be backing and behind, you know, fairly soon in the movie. So we wound up losing a lot of that stuff.
You mentioned Matt Damon, and I think it's, you know, it's interesting that ultimately, with all of the epic ambitions of the story, it's ultimately about, you know, an ordinary man, something extraordinary.
Right. Yes. That is, and that goes down to kind of like in all of Alexander's movies in some ways. You know, it's what it's like to just be a normal person, and what it's like to be a human being.
Now, you have worked with. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I think Matt's just awesome in the movie. I think they all are. Hong Chau's blown me away, and and Kristen Wiig's fantastic, and Christoph's great. They're all wonderful.
Absolutely. Now, you have worked with Alexander Payne since the very beginning of his filmmaking career with Citizen Ruth. You've done Election, About Schmidt, Sideways, Descendants, Nebraska. Now this, I think that covers.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I don't
know. How has that collaboration grown and changed over 20 years now?
You know, people always ask that. I think you know, we both have similar tastes, and we both have similar standards, and you know, we really get along well, and you know, we're very supportive of each other in the cutting room, and you know, of course we have a shortcut, because I kind of know what I think I know what he's going to like, but he always throws a monkey wrench in that. Sometimes just to mess with me. He's like, oh, Kevin thinks I think that, but I'm not going to think that, just to show him, you know. But you know, generally we're on the same wavelength as far as takes and that kind of thing, and I push him to keep pace going, and he pushes me to keep meaning in things, and I don't know, we wrestle it all out, and it all comes out, you know, comes out pretty good. I think we have a good balance somehow.
Well, how have the two of you evolved as filmmakers? I mean, in the sense of like stylistically and things like that.
Well, I think that each film has style. I don't know if like I have a style. Sometimes other editors will mention that they think I do, but I don't know if I do. If it is, I'm not aware of it. But every film has style, and his films in the last couple have been stylistically not a lot of editing, and that's definitely been a conscious choice that he's made, and and I've made too. He doesn't do a lot of different coverage. He'll get the basics, and but he likes to play things, and we try not to cut too much because we kind of feel it's obtrusive sometimes. But like Election, we cut like crazy. It was cut, dissolve, freeze frames, everything. We had it all in there. But the last few movies have been more staid and what's the word for it? More,
unobtrusive, perhaps.
Unobtrusive, yeah. Letting the characters do the work and stuff like that. So, that's been great. That's been great.
For your work on Sideways, you received excuse me, not Sideways.
Descendants.
For your work at Descendants, yeah.
Yeah.
I was having a recall from Rolf Kent's interview.
Yeah, right.
For your work on The Descendants, you received an Academy Award nomination.
I know, it was so flattering. Yeah.
What did that recognition mean? I mean, after having worked for a long time and to have received that.
It was really, really profound and wonderful, especially because it came from the way that it works at the Academy. It came from my fellow editors who felt that, and that movie really didn't have a lot of cutting. I mean, we held things long and, shots long, and the pace was deliberate, and but it was a very beautiful film, and we had great performances. George Clooney was fantastic, and Shailene Woodley was amazing, and the story just seemed to move people. But anyways, sorry, I'm rambling, but to sum it all up, it was really flattering that my fellow editors thought it was worthy of being nominated. So that was great.
This film is going to open in December. What do you hope audiences take away from it?
There's a lot of stuff in the movie. There's a lot of questions and a lot of. I hope they're moved by it. I guess that's my biggest thing. I think they're going to have a good time because it's hilarious and weird and wild and a funny movie. But it's also raising some questions about us as people now, and us as a country now, and us as people on this planet Earth. So I hope people go, oh, that was really fun, but oh, hey, it's also thought-provoking, and hopefully they'll walk away with something more than just a few laughs.
Kevin Ten, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you very much. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a good one.